So we're here at Brooklands Museum with Concorde casually behind me to test Sony's brand new 33 megapixel, partially stacked, 30 frames a second A7 V. I'm really excited about this one. Let's go find out what it's all about. Welcome aboard, viewers. So it's important to mention that this is a pre-production sample of the A7 V, and we don't have loads of time with it. This is largely just a first look. So first thing I'll mention is it does have the exact same resolution as the previous A7 IV at 33 megapixels. But the thing that we really want to focus on with this camera is the huge jump in the shooting speed. Now the A7 IV had 10 frames a second mechanically and 10 frames a second electronically. This camera has still those 10 frames a second mechanically, but it goes up to a huge 30 frames a second on the electronic shutter. But the real heart and soul of this camera is that BIONZ XR2 chip. Now, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how it works, but what I do know is that Sony have quite cleverly combined the original BIONZ XR chip with the AI processing unit and put it in one. And what that means is that aside from incredible heat dissipation through having, I guess, less things to control, it means that it's incredibly good at combining speed as well as using that AI chip a lot more cleverly. So there's lots of things going on within what this chip can do. Now, it's no secret that the A7 series, they've always been seen as hybrids, certainly true starting from the A7 III onwards, and the A7 V really is no different. However, what is different and is a huge upgrade from the A7 IV is the fact that this camera will now do 4K 60p in full frame rather than cropping to Super 35. Now, if you do want to shoot 4K 120, you will then go to Super 35 or APS-C. So that concludes our time here at Brooklands, and we'll head back to the studio now to finish the review on the A7 V. So let's get strapped in. It's going to be a wild ride. So let's talk a little bit about the handling on the new A7 V. So from what I can see, the button placement and button orientation, so in terms of being familiar with this type of camera, I would say it's almost identical to the A7 IV. I think the main part, for the sake of this quick look that we're doing today, is the addition of some connectivity here on the A7 V. And what you will notice is that it actually has two USB-C ports. Now, one of them has a higher data transfer rate and the other one has a lower data transfer rate. So for example, if you do want to have some connectivity with USB-C, you can do that whilst at the same time being able to charge the camera. The A7 V is apparently 40 grams heavier, and that is due to the screen. Whilst the A7 IV, which is this one, just had a pretty normal flippy outy screen. What Sony have done with this one is actually add an extra axis of movement. So many of you will recognize that screen, but this one also comes out and pivots. Now, it's my understanding that the reason why Sony have done this is mainly to allow connectivity to come out the back and given it more access to the rear part of the camera here, rather than it being too close to the camera, always meaning that the cables will come out in front of the screen, which means that you can't really see your screen. From what I can see, it's not a huge difference, but I think it's a definite help. And if it's solving a problem that is apparent to some shooters out there, it's a fantastic addition. Now, one of the things that has really impressed me today, to be honest with you, when I saw the presentation for this camera and I saw the number, it impressed me then. But when I was actually shooting, it really impressed me when I saw the images being displayed on my viewfinder on my LCD. And this camera has 16 stops of dynamic range. Now that is a huge, huge number. and the images do look glorious even when I'm just monitoring. At this moment in time, as I'm recording this, I haven't actually seen any of my images on the big screen. I have recorded my images today in HEIF 422 10-bit to get as much information from my compressed images, but even just seeing the images in the viewfinder, they were so impressive. Usually I do have to ride my exposure compensation a little bit with most cameras. With this one, I felt like I didn't really need to. The camera was already doing a fantastic job at metering, but having that extra couple of stops of dynamic range meant that all the images always looked great. So as we've mentioned before, the beating heart of this camera and what makes this camera so unique is that BIONZ XR2 processor, which effectively is 2 chips in 1. So as well as having very intelligent AI subject recognition, it's how it does that. So aside from being able to recognize eyes and people and animals and insects, it can be specific as to what it's recognizing. So it recognizes an insect's head as well as its torso. So there are distinctions that it can make. Equally with people, it can recognize eyes, it can recognize heads, but also poses. It has an understanding as to what it's seeing and how it's meant to capture it, which means that it's doing it much more efficiently and much more cleverly. Not to mention the fact that this camera is actually running 60 AF equations per second. So the A7 V has technology borrowed from cameras further up the range, namely the A9 III. This one has pre-capture, so you can set that anywhere between 0.03 and 1 second before you press the shutter in case you're worried about missing the shot or not pressing the button at the right time. So Sony has been very good traditionally with IBIS, and this camera is no different. It has 5 axes of image stabilization, and what that means, in the center of the frame, it'll be about 7.5 stops of compensation, and on the periphery of the frame, so anything outside the center, it'll be about roughly 6.5 stops of compensation. Something very cool about this camera is automatic white balance or even setting white balance. It has a very, very clever way of deducing as to what perfect white balance is in the shot. And I noticed it today, it is incredibly good at setting very, very accurate automatic white balance. It didn't really matter whether we were in mixed lighting, tungsten lighting, or even daylight. And finally, we have battery life. So where the Sony A7 IV was good for about 580 shots on a single charge using the rear LCD panel, the A7 V is good for 750, so that is a considerable jump. So there you have it. That concludes our first look of the Sony A7 V, and I for one have really, really enjoyed shooting with it. But more importantly, I think Sony has given us something here that I think is a genuine update, a really impressive camera that is pretty much improved everywhere, I would say, or everywhere that matters. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.